Are you afraid of confrontation in your relationship? Do you fear every time you have an argument that your partner is going to leave you? Do you literally freak out and are like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, let's fix this. Are you afraid to even speak your truth because you're afraid that they will reject or leave you? This comes down to the unhealed inner child. This comes down to your abandonment wound, your fear of rejection, your fear of them leaving. But this is unhealthy. No relationship should be like that. A relationship should be equal. If you have an argument, you shouldn't freak out that it's the end of the relationship. All people have arguments. But why do we become all consumed with the fact that we're going to be left alone if there's an argument in a relationship? Why do we fear the worst? My name is Angela Cleary. I'm a feminine empowerment coach and I specialise in healing after narcissistic abuse. This is the thing. This happened for me personally in my past relationships. We have such a fear of being alone when we have unhealed trauma, especially unhealed childhood trauma. And we're unaware of this, of course. But in the relation, and for me personally, right, I was in an 8-year narcissistic relationship. He was verbally abusive all the time. We had volatile arguments, especially through alcohol. And the next day I would be in a state of absolute fear. Fearing that he would leave. Fearing that I would be on my own. Freaking out. And literally I would go out to apologise to him for his shitty words. Because I was afraid he would go. And this, I've seen this on Married at First Sight. I keep speaking about that. I watch it for the relationship dynamics. And the girl is literally kind of saying, let's fix this. Like, just give me a kiss and a cuddle and tell me everything's going to be okay. And I'm like, that's not fucking healthy. That's not healthy. You're freaking out that he's going to leave you. This is your issues with your own codependency. Your fear of being rejected. Your fear of abandonment. This stems down to your unhealed inner child. And this is the thing. Codependent relationships, they're not healthy. If you're literally afraid to speak your truth, if that's not a healthy relationship dynamic. In a healthy relationship, we're all going to be triggered. We're all going to be faced with shit that makes us angry or upset. But we need to understand that our triggers are our own. And a lot of the times, Jesus, this part bugs me. A lot of the time, we're not speaking our truth in relationships. We're not open about our triggers. We're not saying to our partner, hey, I'm feeling a little bit shitty right now, and instead of having an argument, I'm going to go work on this and see what's wrong. Then come back and have a conversation rather than a fight. This is what healthy interdependence is. But when we're unhealed and when we're living from our wounded inner child state, we're going to fear every bit of imbalance in the relationship. So anytime there's an argument, you're going to think the worst. And no matter how long you're with that person, if your inner child is unhealed, you're going to freak out at every argument. You could be with that person 10 fucking years. You have a fight and you're like, oh my God, he's going to leave. Oh my God, he's going to leave. Oh my God, he's going to leave. This is not right. We should be in a relationship where we're so empowered within ourselves, so confident within ourselves that we know our partner won't ever leave because they love us. And, we should love ourselves enough to know that and not freak out at an argument. Everyone fucking argues. It's not the end of the world. But you can choose to not have this kind of dynamic if you heal your inner child. We all have a wounded inner child. And I keep going back to this. This is so important. This is my favourite modality of healing. That wounded inner child, right, for me personally, I was abandoned as a child by my mother. This led to a massive abandonment wound, my fear of rejection, my whole life feeling that I wasn't lovable. All of this. And this is why I felt these ways in relationships and why I was afraid of confrontation or why I was afraid of any argument, freaking out that he'd leave. Because my wounded inner child was literally inside me crying out to be loved and crying out for that validation externally. And she would latch on to the abuser, but latch on for dear life for fear of being alone. I hated being alone. Hated it. I loved school, not because of the fucking academia, but because my friends were there. I suffered from anxiety and depression as a teenager. I hated being on my fucking own. Now I fucking love being on my own. Do you know what I mean? But when I was in a relationship of any kind, it was literally all consuming, and that's it. Do you get overly attached in a relationship very quickly? Because when I was a teenager, I used to literally get these unhealthy attachments. Do you know what I mean? And you really do freak the fuck out when that relationship ends, or you freak the fuck out when there's an argument. Like, it's literally like, oh my God, the feeling that you get when you've got an unhealed inner child and you're so desperately trying to cling on for dear life after an argument. It's all consuming. It literally feels like you're about to fucking die if this relationship ends. That is not fucking healthy. That is actually really fucking, that's detrimental to your health. This is why the inner child healing is so fucking important, is because we have to heal that abandonment wound within us so as not to fear being on our own, but not to seek outside ourselves for that love. That's the whole important thing. You know what I mean? Why are we seeking outside ourselves for that love when we should be seeking for it we should find it within ourselves? And this is the whole importance of healing your inner child. You really have to learn to love yourself, and you cannot love yourself if your inner child is not feeling loved. So what do? You reparent and love your inner child. This really helps in you ending up to love yourself. This is why it's so important. And then, only then, will you end up being confident in relationships, knowing that an argument is just an argument, or preventing that argument by owning your own triggers. This is so important as well. Like, what I find in relationships as well, the lack of communication. That is the fucking big one. And women are like, oh, read my mind. Read my mind. No, I'm upset. Read my mind. And then they eventually go, how are you? Okay, are you okay? Is there something wrong? I'm fine. And then you get angry because he doesn't read your fucking mind. Ladies, this is not how it works. Speak about what's triggering you. Speak openly about what's going on inside you. And if you can't because you're afraid of confrontation, then ask yourself what is within you that needs to be healed. You know, this is so important about communication in relationships and interdependence within relationships. You should not be afraid of an argument. You should be so comfortable within yourself that you know with all your fucking soul that this guy is not going to leave you, because you have this trusting, harmonious, equal, unconditionally loving relationship. There is respect. You know, in the right relationship, you can say anything you fucking want. Well, obviously, don't be a bitch, but you can say anything you want and your partner will accept you. So if you've got unhealed triggers and you say to your partner, there's something wrong with me right now, I'm feeling upset right now, this is why I'm upset, instead of going, oh, read my mind, I'm fine. Sorry, but that's what we did. And I don't do that anymore. Well, I've been single for a long time, so I hope I won't do that again. But you know what I mean? We can't expect our men to be mind readers. We can't expect for an argument not to develop if we're not communicating properly. And how do we communicate properly? By being confident within ourselves, by healing the wound within us that leads us to fear this confrontation, that leads us to fear being alone. And this is the thing. Our inner child is so scared to be left on her own. That's it. I remember as a young child, after the abandonment, and I didn't even realise this for a long time, but if I was left in the car by my uncle or something, I'd sit there crying, just bawling. And I remember him coming back out into the car. He's like, why are you crying? I was like, I thought you were never coming back. That's the way I felt because of my wounding. And that's what you feel even in a relationship, is like, I thought you were never coming back. You're so afraid to be left on your own. It's like, I thought you were never coming back. I don't want to be on my own. So this is the thing, we have to get to a stage where being alone is beautiful. Absolutely fucking love it. I used to hate being in silence as well. I'd have to have music on all the time and all this kind of stuff. And now I just love silence. I love being on my own. I love nurturing my inner child. I love bringing my childlike self out to play. And I'm not afraid to use my voice anymore. I'm not afraid to speak up. And this is what we need to do within our relationships. But it all starts with that core wound. And 99% of the time, that core wound is your inner child. And I've said this before, you don't have to come from a broken, you could have come from a happy home. The wounding when we're children can come from simplest of things. You could have drawn on the walls when you were a child and your parents would have reprimanded you for that. You're an innocent child. I saw this. Oh my God. You're reprimanded and you're a child going, why is she giving out to me? You don't connect the dots that you drew on the wall and she's giving out to you. You just think, okay, they're giving out to me because I'm a bad person. I'm a bad child. Like I was working in a shop one time and I had the mop bucket and I was, going back into the back of the mop bucket. And there was a child there and she was literally just standing mesmerised, staring at me. And I just thought it was beautiful. And normally at the end of the day of the work, I'd be angry. But I was just like, oh, she's lovely and she's so cute. She can stand there all day if she wants because I don't give a shit. Like, she's just lovely. And her parents started, get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the way. The voice get louder and louder. Get out of the way, get out of the way, get out of the fucking way. So the child is literally kind of going, what the fuck? I didn't do anything. My mummy doesn't love me. Why is she giving out to me? So simple things like this, having strict parents, strict religious beliefs, maybe your parent having substance abuse. So it doesn't have to be physical abandonment for you to have wounding as a child. Simple thing of you might fall over in the playground and the other kids laugh at you. That is going to damage your inner child and think that, oh my God, I'm outcast. You know what I mean? Why am I not being accepted? So it doesn't matter what kind of a childhood you actually had, you're still likely to have some inner child wounding. This is going to this is why we fear rejection. This is why we fear abandonment. This is why we fear being alone. Because that inner child is seeking out to be loved, parented, and cared for the way they felt they didn't. Because that's it. An innocent child is literally going, why does mommy hate me? Why does daddy hate me? Why are they giving out to me? Why am I being punished? This is the thing, you know what I mean? This is where the wounding starts, and it could be the simplest of things that you drew on that wall and your parent gave out to you. And that can lead to a deep abandonment wound, a rejection wound, a fear-based wound. And this is why we get into these unhealthy relationship dynamics. So it all starts with you healing what's in you. To get to a place of empowerment, to get into that self-independence, to not be afraid, to be so confident in yourself and in your partner and in your relationship that you can have these conversations without being afraid of them leaving. You can speak about your internal wounds. You can speak about your triggers. You can speak about what you're feeling. Because it's okay to speak about what you're feeling. They're not going to leave you just because you told them that you're feeling shitty instead of saying you're fine. Don't be saying you're fine. Don't expect them to read your mind. Be open, be communicative. This is what you need to do. And heal that wound. Heal the reason behind it. Heal that fear of being alone. This is another thing with codependent relationships. You cannot do anything physically without them. If you do it separately, you're fucking worried that they're doing something. And then when you're separate from them, you're worried that they're worried that you're doing something. That's a toxic relationship. You know what I mean? And that's the way I was in my past relationship, especially my 8-year one. If I ever had to be away from him, I would be all consumed with fear. Fear that he'd accuse me of doing something wrong, or fear that he'd be sitting in the pub with his ex, which he probably was. But anyway, so that's not a healthy relationship dynamic. That was a toxic relationship anyway, so I'm not even going to go there. But, literally, you should be able to go on holiday without your partner. You should be able to go to the pub without your partner, or you should be able to go somewhere with your friends, do a girls' night, do a boys' night. This is all healthy without freaking out that your relationship is going to end because they want to do something different. Do you know what I mean? This all boils down to your unhealed wounding from childhood and probably from past relationships because, the pattern repeats. It repeats over and over again until we heal that wounding. So look within yourself, reparent and love your inner child. Love yourself And then you can be as free as a bird within your relationship. And that's what it's about. It's interdependence within relationship. It's not about being all consumed with fear that they're going to leave you just because of an argument. This is not what's going to happen. This is all about your wounding, your unhealed trauma, and it all starts with you loving your inner child so that you can love yourself. That's it. So that's where it starts. So if you do fear confrontation in relationships, understand that this is unhealed trauma that you need to work on and has nothing to do with your partner. It's all to do with you. So thank you so much for listening today, and I really hope this resonates. If it does, please like and share, and please subscribe to my channel so I can reach as many people as possible. And if you'd like help on your journey, please book me for a discovery call today, and I would love nothing more than to help you on your path.